Hey everybody, welcome back to Pop's Place Garage. Got my Pop's Place hat on. I wanted to show you what I was up to. I have a recent acquisition besides my chopper project. You've seen the chopper project here behind me. That's still going on. Slowly getting there, getting parts, but I got something else. Remember the 76 Ironhead that I had here, the project Ironhead Sportster bike that I gave up on? I got rid of that shit. I might have mentioned I got rid of it because I have a better one coming. It has arrived. I just got the 84 Ironhead Sportster. Pretty much a barn find. It's been sitting in storage for 6 years. Got it from my good buddy Lauren Lynn. Lauren owns the red Ultimate chopper here behind me, and I got that bike from him. Great bike, super complete. It's just been sitting up for a long time, needs a little loving. Let me show you what I got. I just got home the 1984 Ironhead Sportster. This is my bike. I just acquired this bike yesterday evening. It's been in storage for probably 6 years since it's been started up and messed with it all. It's pretty complete. It's a, like I said, a 1984. It's got a cool gas tank and rear fender on it. You can tell this thing's been sitting in storage for a long time. It's got all the dust on it. Nice little mini 8-hanger bars. They look like they'll clean up well. They've got some little speckles on it that I think will clean right up. Cool little mini Speedo. A lot of chrome. Chrome oil tank cover, cam cover, sprocket cover. S&S Super E. Hell yeah, brother. Stoked on that. The throttle linkage moves freely. Some braided throttle lines on it. Braided brake hose on the front. Highway bars. Factory mid controls. 19-inch front wheel. The wheels look like they'll clean up pretty decent. Drag pipes. She's got a lot of potential. It's got the saddlebag supports on there. Even got the saddlebags. There's the saddlebags right here. Now, I had this seat already from the 76 that I had for a while. Just so happens that the seat and the saddlebags match great. So I'm going to run this seat because I got the bike without a seat. And I am going to run the saddlebags on there because I've got my chopper project, you know, that's going to be lean and mean. But this thing, I like the large fuel capacity. I like that it's got shocks on it, and I like that it's got the saddlebag stuff. This is going to be my grocery getter, my errand runner, my daily rider once I get this thing running. It's got paperwork, so all this thing needs is to be cleaned up. I've even got a brand new battery inside in my bedroom that I had bought for the 76 and I never used, so I have a brand new battery. It's the correct battery for this bike. 300 cranking amps, like 310 or so. So this thing is going to be sweet. Super complete. It's not missing much. If anything, I'm missing like maybe the outer part of the battery box. It's got a couple of bolts missing out of the rear master cylinder. And then that plunger kind of came out of it. It's probably just because the bolts are out. Hey, I've got pressure on the front brake. How about that? The handle doesn't return great. It feels stiff, so that probably needs to be cleaned up. That must be start button. Here's my blinker stuff. All these switches could use a little love. You could say it's got about 6 years worth of dust on it from sitting in storage. Tires are flat. Got some dry rot on them. I don't know if you can see that. All right, it's the next day. I'm gonna try to fire this thing up. I picked up some fuel. I've got my new battery installed. I had to change the positive battery cable. So I've got the little sprocket cover right here off of the rear so that I could access that. So that's why that looks like that. But the new battery is in it. I've got power. The engine turns over, but it has no fuel. May look a little shinier also. I went ahead and wiped it down. Got all of that barn find dust off of it. So let's put some fuel in it. This is kind of funny. When you find bikes like this that have sat up for quite some time, just want to give it a quick check before you throw fuel in there to make sure you're not going to spill fuel all over the place. So I noticed that my breather tube was disconnected here. But I wanted to make sure that this doesn't hurt being disconnected for now. Let's make sure that the fuel line is connected. Here is the fuel line. It is connected to the air filter. It should be connected here. This is the float bowl nipple, not this. Let's fix that. Okay, got the line in the right spot. Put the clamp on this bad boy. I've got mosquitoes out here like crazy today. Makes it hard to concentrate. These bloodsuckers flying around. So hopefully I won't get malaria. I grew up in South Louisiana by the swamps and the rivers. We had mosquitoes like you wouldn't believe. And I always grew up working and playing outside. We didn't play inside when we were kids. I vividly remember my parents telling me, oh, they won't kill you. Mosquitoes won't kill you. Mosquitoes will kill you. Keep away from them mosquitoes. I don't like bug repellent. I can't stand the smell of it. Well, that's gonna... I'm just gonna leave that like that for now. That's good enough. Fuel line's hooked up. Make sure my other fuel line's hooked up. It is not. So let's check that out. Alright, this is why I always check all this stuff before I put fuel in it. I don't want to waste my gas. It's way too expensive now. There's nothing connected here. Well, here's the other end of my fuel hose. Right here. I can get that up there, find the clamp, put that on. You know, while I'm at it, I better take a look at the bottom of the tank. This is a crossover nipple, so that the tank can equalize and it gets gas to both sides. And there is no crossover hose, so if I would have filled this tank with gas, it would have, see if you can see it where I'm pointing here. I don't know if you can see that crossover nipple over there, where my finger is right here. That gas would have just poured straight out. I've got to get a crossover hose on that too before I put any gas in it. Alrighty, you're probably going to hear that fan pretty loud in the camera. I've got to have the fan on me. I can't. It's about 105 degrees out here in South Texas, and I've got long pants and socks on to keep the mosquitoes from eating me up. So get my screwdriver back. found I don't have a lot of fuel line on hand. I do have this one piece, so this line is a little bit too short. I'm going to try to use this for the crossover line for now, and this for the fuel line instead of this one for the fuel line. It's got a little metal fuel filter on there. Don't know the condition of that, and I need to clean that. But for right now, I just want to see if this thing will try to fire up for me. Hopefully that fuel filter is even in the right direction. It's not marked, so I just have to try it and see what happens here. Okay. And I'm going to use this for the fuel line. Quite a bit longer. That should get it done. The gas tank seems pretty clean. I think when he put this thing up, he didn't have any fuel on it, which is apparent from the lack of fuel lines or fuel hoses attached to the bottom of the tank crossover nipples. If it did have gas in it, it didn't have gas in it for very long. So the gas tank, it looked pretty clean from what I could tell. It did not smell like varnish, which is good, great. I'm gonna have to figure out a good way to route this fuel hose eventually. Because of the petcock, it looks like a forward facing out on there. It really should probably be a down facing nipple so that I could run the hose through between the cylinders like I usually do. I tried that, I can't get it like that on this one. So for now, I'm just going to run it over the top right here because that's what works. I've got 2 hose clamps left in my pocket and I need 3. Might have to find one more of these 2. Put one on this side. You can't see me very well over there. Let's reposition that camera real quick. Alrighty. Got you guys able to see what I'm doing now. I'm just putting that fuel hose on the petcock here. Who named these a petcock? It's a fuel valve. It's kind of a phallic sounding name. I hate saying petcock. Sounds like I got a little buddy. I guess I do. That's not what I'm trying to say. I hate the word petcock. I'm going to start calling it fuel valve. Some of you guys might say, oh, fuel valve, that's called a petcock. Well, I've got a petcock, but it's not here. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Okay, I've got this fuel line on. This old valve. These valves are made all kinds of different ways, configurations, so I got to figure out what's what here. I think it has an arrow this way, okay? So this way down, it says on. So on is down, off is over here, so this way is off, and then straight up is my reserve. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that's on off. That's probably gonna leak because 99.9% of these old fuel valves, they leak. I'm notorious for it. I don't know who makes a fuel valve that doesn't leak. I've used $15 fuel valves that leak. I've used $50 fuel valves that leak. I've used $125 Pingle fuel valves that leak. They all leak. Alright, that's hooked up. I might have one more piece of fuel hose in there, but let's see if this one will reach. I need to put something on these These nipples here for crossover. Let me put my one remaining pocket hose clamp on this side, and I'll find one more for the other side. When you're putting those clamps on those hoses, remember to put them in a position where you can get to them and tighten them. Just give it a look-see. I need a bike lift. Anybody got a bike lift they want to send me? Bike lift manufacturers. I'll do a great review for a bike lift. Talk about you all the time. You'd be my best friend. And I can't afford a bike lift right now. I'm way down here by Mexico. I love the Mexican people. I've lived a lot of places, but I love it here. It's peaceful. People are really friendly. But there's a lot of competition when it comes to working on stuff, and I have to live a simple life. I don't make a lot of money doing what I do. So I work on the floor. I'm 50 years old next year. I'm getting too old for this. I need a bike lift. This side is on clamped. Let's find another clamp. Alright, I'm in luck. Found one more clamp. And the fuel hose is long enough. So it's a win-win. The universe is working with me today. Yeah, I meant to tell you earlier, talking about those mosquitoes. I don't like mosquito repellent. I hate the way it smells. I hate the way it feels on my skin. So I'm doing a little experiment right now for the first time. I saw online some lady telling me that vanilla extract was an excellent bug repellent. So I put a little bit of vanilla extract on my neck and my arms. And you know, I haven't gotten bitten by a mosquito yet since I've been back out here. Now I do have the fan on me. I don't think they like that vanilla extract. And I smell delicious. Might be too much information, I'm not sure. I smell like a treat right now. Alright. This line was long enough, it's clamped on there. I think that I can put fuel in the motorcycle without spilling it all on the floor now. Glad that I checked that. This fuel line is going to touch the exhaust pipe right here. You guys don't yell at me. This is only temporary. I'm just firing this up for a moment just to see if it'll run. I haven't ever heard this bike run. I heard that it did run 6 years ago. That's what I was told. But I don't know that. So I'm going to find out. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my clamp over here so that I can put on my cam cover breather. The story behind this bike, my friend got it from another friend, and it had just been serviced supposedly at a dealership. The oil looks brand new. He said that he had it serviced and then bought a new bike and just kind of forgot about this one. We'll see. We'll see. Got this clamp on there wrong. Bear with me, guys. Before I get fuel in all of these lines, and it's a pain in the ass to do this and get everything where I want it. Or I told you, put these clamps on there where you can get to them. I'll flip that thing around the other way. That way it's not in the way of my other hose. The head of that thing, it was right in my way. The head of that clamp, where the screw is. Need to get a little nut driver the size for these clamps. I don't know why I torture myself. I always use a flathead screwdriver. It never does want to bite. Fight it the whole time. I've got air tools and I'll fight stuff using hand tools. I must love torture. Work on the ground. Live in South Texas where it's 150 degrees. I love it. Love the torture. Alright, so that's tight. Again. Now I can slip my cam cover breather hose on there. Exhaust pipe's loose. That'll be fine. Grab a wrench here and see if I can tighten that up a little bit before I crank it up and it blows the exhaust pipe off. Probably a good idea. Have this off and get that sprocket cover off there. That's better, that won't fall off. Alright, finally we're ready to put some fuel in it. Alright, got my funnel, my gas can. Now before I go dumping all of this fuel in there, I'm going to put a little bit in there and see what leaks. If nothing leaks, then I'm really lucky. Something usually leaks. Especially on one of these that you're bringing back. You don't know if the carburetor float is going to hold the fuel. I don't know if the tank's got a crack in it. I don't know if the petcock valve is going to leak. I don't know any of that. There's only one way to find out. Put just a splash. Look for leaks around the fuel valve threads, the petcock threads. Now the petcock is way up front middle of that tank, so they probably don't have enough yet. But so far so good. I've only got about 3 gallons here. Tell me if you see fuel pouring out on the ground. I'll go back and read the comments, and then it won't do me any good because that'll be later and fuel's already on the floor. I don't see anything leaking out yet. If I do, I'll just disconnect that fuel line and drain it all out back into this tank as fast as I can. I'm feeling lucky. I've got fuel up to the top of my funnel here. I know that tank ain't full yet. It needs to cross over into this other side. Going down a little bit, that should equalize. Oh Oh yeah, it's equalized, and I can see it on the other side of the tank already. The tank must be smaller than I thought it was, because it looks like it's almost full already. Now I know I got enough gas then. It's old school. You got left-handed threads, right-handed threads. These are both gas caps. The more modern bikes, this side is fake. It's a dummy cap. Usually there's a fuel gauge right there on your modern bikes. So that gas tank is full. And I'm not having gas pour all over the ground. That's great. I can tell you that most times that I do this, that don't happen. Fuel valve is leaking a little bit. It's slightly dripping. That's all right. Sometimes it needs a little fuel on it to wet it up, get it to start to seal a little bit. I'm going to turn the fuel on, and we'll see what happens. Now we're looking for gas pouring out of the carburetor, because if it fills up that float bowl and that float needle don't hold, and it'll start to pouring out of that S&S. Now I see another little fuel leak here. I'll show you. I think that's coming from my fuel line. I have a little drip. Y'all see that right there? It's getting worse too. See if I can tighten that up a little bit or something. It might be coming from that fuel filter too. It might not be the line itself. I think it's coming from the filter. Filter's probably leaking. So, don't try this at home. This is not a good idea. Fire hazard. I'm going to see if it'll pop off a little bit real quick. Well, that's a good sign. I've got fuel leaks in a few places, so unfortunately I'm going to have to drain this fuel back out. That was pretty dangerous, doing what I just did, starting it with fuel leaks. I just can't help myself. You can see that fuel filter is leaking pretty quick. I tightened the line up, but it's that fuel filter itself, I think. Now, to fix my fuel leaks that I had going on, I tried to clean and tighten that fuel filter, but I wasn't successful. It still leaked. So I just put a dual barbed fitting in there and bypassed that for now. I also had a leaking petcock valve. This is another valve that I just had in my box of parts here. So I took it apart and cleaned that one and put it back together, and it's not leaking. So that's working well for me. So now I have no fuel leaks. And yes, that is a master key in my ignition. I didn't have a key for this bike, so I dug around through some old keys, and what do you know, that master key worked. So that's what I got going on. Off camera, I had opened up that carburetor, the S&S Super E. And I'm going to show you here with my Ultima R2, which is basically the same carb. There's only a couple of slight differences in these two carburetors. And this carburetor, even though it's a good one, I'm missing the enricher valve. And instead of ordering some parts, I just went ahead and stole some parts off of this one because they're the same in the accelerator pump. The first thing I had noticed, there was an O-ring that goes on the little, I don't know what it is, maybe the accelerator pump rod. It comes up from the bowl and goes into this body. That's got a little small blue O-ring on the top of it. When you open that up, it was missing. So when I opened up that Super E and I was looking in the accelerator pump housing, it was in here. It was underneath the accelerator pump diaphragm. There's no way, you can see that there's no way it could have gotten in there. So somebody must have dropped that in there. This is the old accelerator pump diaphragm out of the S&S, and it's seen better days. It's iffy. It might have worked, but it's got some cracking on it, as you can see right here. That could have a little pinhole in there. So it's starting to fail. You can see that crack really good right here now. Okay, so I went ahead and stole the accelerator pump out of this carburetor because it was like brand new. The other thing is, if you look close down in here, there's a little check ball. That little rusty check ball is not supposed to be rusty, but that one's rusty. There's another hole, and this hole is supposed to have a spring and another check ball. That was completely missing out of my S&S, so I had to take that spring and check ball, and I went ahead and used that accelerator pump diaphragm. And then my accelerator pump started to work. When I first cranked it up, once I had the accelerator pump check ball and spring in here and the new diaphragm, it ran a lot better. I was still getting some backfire pops, and it wasn't wanting to accelerate like it should when I rolled onto the throttle. It needed a little RPM before you could accelerate, even with the accelerator pump squirting. These I found were loose, these clamps right here. And I see a little bit of cracking on those rubber boots. So those rubber boots, they've been sitting for 6 years dry, and they probably need to be replaced. I tightened them up and it revs a lot better now. So she's running a lot better after everything that I've done. It's getting there slowly but surely. I need some brake work on this bike. I need a rear brake line, and the front brakes work, but they could be better. So I need to get a rebuild kit for that front master cylinder or replace that, and get my seat on there. Don't have a seat yet, but I've got one of those coming from a good friend of mine. I've got one of those Sully's diamond stitch pattern solo seats coming for her. But other than that, I'm super happy. I need to get the air filter back on it and the points cover back on it. It's got an electronic ignition in it right now, but I'm not sure if I'll put points back in it or not. I'm a big fan of points, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, she runs, she rides. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, this is Pops at Pops Place.